Hello, Align fam, and welcome to another solo series episode where I cover a commonly asked topic. And the foundation I'm sharing today is what I use as a starting point with my clients. And then I create a customized journey so each of them can achieve their goals, their desires, how they want to feel. But this foundation I'm sharing today will be very helpful for you when you're navigating what I always get asked is, how do we turn pain and obstacles into fuel? And there's no better person to cover this topic and use an example than Taylor Swift herself. So obviously everyone's a Swiftie now. Everyone's a believer in her. She's all over the media, but let's not forget, she's been through hell and back. And I'm always really big on sharing the journey of how people got there, like the hero's journey where she's been. And it's not just time, obviously people know there's blood, sweat, and tears, but there's so much of emotional, whether it be trauma or obstacles and things she had to face and overcome in order to become the version of what we see now, how successful, the impact that she has. So the four areas I want to cover today are: first is perception, power of perception. Secondly is never stop creating. Third is how do we convert this negative energy, pain, and obstacles into fuel? And fourth is the power of keep going. So first is, let's talk about perception. The first iconic moment when her confidence was really shaken up was when Kanye interrupted during her acceptance speech and basically said Beyonce deserved it, she didn't, right? And the whole audience at the time was booing at Kanye, but she thought they were booing at her. By the way, this is all, if you haven't watched it, Miss Americana's documentary that came out a couple of years ago, where Taylor kind of shares this moment and her thoughts, and it's an inside view of her life and the dark days that she had. I highly recommend it. Even if you're not a Swiftie, or you listen to at least, even if you find just one of her songs empowering, I think it's a really good documentary. And those of you that hate her, I encourage you to watch it, because you will have a newfound respect for her. And there's lessons learned to her success. So I highly recommend the documentary. But the first thing is the power of perception, right? She thought the world was booing at her, and she internalized that and really kickstart that spiral. So I think the first thing is, when you're going through painful events or obstacles, reflect on, what is this pain showing you? What are the obstacles showing you? And what do you think you're supposed to learn from it, right? Secondly is the way that you're framing the story even accurate? Because sometimes we often point to ourselves to be like, we're the problem, we're the issue. We internalize a lot of things when honestly, you didn't do anything wrong. So I would say, work with therapists, work with a coach. There's also workbooks out there, online workbooks, but really going through, when you're going through a painful or a time of obstacle, doing it alone is it's just not productive, because you just go into a mental cycle. And when it's just your thoughts, all you think is your own thoughts over and over again, and you're not as open to new ideas and new ways of seeing things. So I really encourage, when you're going through a dark time, do not do it alone. There are people out there who want to support you, who want to be there for you, and you've got to seek outside guidance and just other ways of seeing it, right? So I think first thing is the power of perception. How do we reframe what happened to us? Second is never stop creating. So when you're going through a dark moment, and Taylor talks about this too, like she was so scared. If you listen to any of her lyrics, she was so scared of the outside world's perception of her. Like, no one likes her now. Everyone's making fun of her. She's always been made fun of for literally anything, from how she looks, how she dances, how she speaks, how her songs are always about silly things like guys. She was so, like, the outside noise just kind of penetrated in her, and it was such a, what's the word? It was such a huge boulder on her heart. But one thing she never did, thank God she didn't, she never stopped creating. And she's spoken before in an interview where she was like, never, biggest lesson learned was that she learned through all of the darkest time was like, you never stop creating. If anything, you can use the pain as content, right? You can use what you're going through as a way to release and use it as therapy, create art. So she made music videos, but there's a purpose in the pain. There's a purpose in your obstacle. It is not for you to collapse down and hermit mode and close yourself from the world. No one benefits from you closing from the world and not shining your light. People do benefit from you creating art from your pain because it becomes relatable. You know how many people Taylor has saved with her music and her lyrics when people felt so alone, when they felt like they're the only ones who were going through a heartbreak, going through a reputational damage, being, what's the word, being wronged, right? She has literally said clearly, look at her loyal fan base, have saved so many people. So I really encourage you to look at when you're going through pain, like how can you create art out of this? How can you create something of value to help others and serve others? And honestly, when you're going through it, when you're going through pain and you are actually able to help someone else, you actually in a way heal yourself. It's crazy. Like human nature, we're wired to serve. We're wired to help. We're a very social being. So at your darkest times, if you lean out a hand and you help, you actually honestly find more confidence in yourself. So I highly encourage you to think, how do you create art? How do you create something of value when you're going through it? But you never stop creating. Third is I want to dive a little bit deeper on like how you use pain and obstacles into fuel. Look at all the main hits: Bad Blood, wow, Bad Blood, Vigilante Shit, Mean, right? If anyone knew the song Mean, there's a critic, I don't know who he is, this guy who always just like ranted on her. And she literally made a song called Mean about him. And one of the lyrics and lines says, like, I'm paraphrasing, one day I'll be the Grammys, like getting an award or whatnot, and all you're ever going to be is mean. And she won so many awards for that song. So like, how can you use the pain and the criticism into content? She's also mentioned in an interview before, the woman asked her, you know, why sing to haters or the critics? And she said so powerfully, when the haters and the critics stop coming for me, I'll stop singing to them. So how can you monetize? How can you create something of value from your pain? Super, super. And think about it, how many people that you can heal and inspire from your artwork, right? So I always feel, and just from my experience, people I've seen, all the people that I met in my life, there's always a reason for the pain and the obstacles. It's the meaning you give it behind what you go through and what you're going to do about it. It's going to determine whether or not you're going to get out shining colors or you're going to stay in the darkness, right? There's always a choice. And keep in mind, one of the biggest pains is when her music got sold, and there was so much drama with Scooter, with Carlisle, and a few of the private equity firms and firms that bought her music. Did she give up? No, she spoke out. Obviously not easy for her to do as a woman. She spoke out adamantly, consistently, no matter even when her friends turned at her, people came out to say like, oh, well, you know, I wasn't treated badly. He's not so bad. She kept pressing. She stood up. She did what's right. Not easy. She did what was right. And did she cave? No. What did she do? She just smartly re-recorded everything. So now she's going to own it. Right? So again, like, how do you use pain and obstacles? From this, there's an exposure, what she went through, there was exposure of the media industry, right? And it made people think, oh my God, it's right. Like the creators really don't get a lot of the monetary benefits of what they actually produce. She's made people woken up about it. She's made people woken up more so about the way women are treated versus men, right? Remember the song, wow, The Man or Man, where she talks about, you know, if I was a man, I would treat you differently. So she used her music as a way to educate, and the pain as a way to shine a spotlight to what needs to be changed, right? Or even the song Only the Young, when she was super inspired by what was happening in a political environment, she just saw like what made her so sad, but and the things that she did not like about whatever was going on in the world, and she made art out of it, and she was able to educate and start a conversation and actually take action on things to progress things that she didn't like forward, right? So how can you use the pain and obstacle as fuel in your life to create something of meaning? And then lastly is, I mean, literally the importance of keep going, right? Imagine she didn't make any of those songs. Imagine she didn't make any of those videos. How many people would be not like how many lives would she not been able to inspire and uplift, right? And obviously this year, the American economy, hello, right? People, and I'm sure people have been watching a lot of Instagram coverage about this, but you know how many boyfriends and girlfriends of Swifties she's like changed over? There was a comedian, I'm blanking on his name, who's saying like, I used to make fun of Taylor for a decade because I thought she was some silly girl. I'm paraphrasing, who just sang about her heartbreaks and all this stuff. And obviously he loved his wife, or I think it was wife, bought her tickets, and he was like, within the first song, I was in a Swiftie. So the power, like if she said, you know what, half the world hates me, I'm not doing a tour, I'm not doing this, people wouldn't been able to see her art. And there people have compared her literally to like the power of Michael Jackson, because she can write her own lyrics that she's the most proud of. Think about all the Easter eggs she put in. She can sing, she can dance, she's an entertainer, she's a person with a backbone, right? She stands up for what she believes is right. So imagine she let those critics in. Imagine she was paralyzed by the outside noise. Imagine she didn't listen to that inner voice and say like, create, 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 do, do, do. None of this would exist, right? And how much she's helped, like we mentioned, the economy, the fact that she can even make the NFL more popular, guys. So I hope this Taylor's story really inspires you the way it inspires me and a lot of people that I know, where you got to take the pain and obstacles as fuel. And how can you create something of meaning and value from it? And you got to keep going. If you're coming with pure intentions and you're coming within you, there's a burning need for you to create something, to put something out there, to start a company, to say something. That is, you don't need permission. The permission is inside your gut saying, do it, do it, do it. So go do it. You never know who you're going to help. You never know who you're going to inspire. And again, if you're going through a dark time now, I highly encourage you to find other people to share with, because that's when with your most vulnerable times, it's not shameful. It's not something that you should hide about. People bond with you when you're the most vulnerable. So reach out. People want to support you. People want to be there for you. And please do share stories of how you've overcome things, how this episode has resonated with you. This is extremely, extremely not just popular, but important topic. And so if there's any way that me or the Line fam can help support you during these times, don't be a stranger, reach out.